I wish I could title this video Mid-Table Problems or something like that, but I don't feel comfortable lying to the world. Do you have any idea what it feels like to have to open up your phone and scroll all the way to the bottom just to see what state your team is in? No, you don't. Because you only think of yourself. Tottenham Hotspur have collected maximum points from Manchester United and have also knocked them and City out of the League Cup. As things stand, they've won every game against the City of Manchester and are one step from perfection. What a time to be alive. Injuries have been ravaging both sides and they are both bleeding profusely, but it's not like they're the only ones. Different circumstances, but at least the teams have something in common. The problems lie above. Arsenal have their own crisis, but they are putting up points. Congrats, happy for you, nice. Also, Ethan Nwaneri, my God, what a player that man is. He's 17 years old. Liverpool are unstoppable at this point. The quadruple is very much still on. Man City escaped being the main talking point of the weekend with a thrashing of Newcastle, but fear not, there is always Wednesday. Lots of stuff to get into today. Hello, hope you're doing well. Welcome back. It feels like it's been a while since I've done one of these Premier League wrap-up videos. Last week there was FA Cup, so I thought I would take the time to get onto some of the longer form videos that I've had on the shelf for a while. And if I'm honest with you, I'd be lying if I said that I didn't appreciate the break, because right now we are back to starting off the week horrendously. Everybody is injured. At least 6 starting 11 caliber players all on the sideline for United. Amorim is left having to call in the kids just to make up numbers. Everybody is being fired. Again, apparently the United backroom is horrendously bloated, which is why these layoffs keep making the news. And at the end of the day, the team needs to gather up funds to compete. The massive interest repayments of the Glazers purchase 2 decades ago are of vital importance and a completely necessary expense that everyone is happy about. It's just really frustrating because it feels like it's the same story every single week. We come on here, I come on here, and I talk about how there are glimpses of moments that make me believe that this team can conjure up something this season. But those moments are just so, far and few between. Few and far between, I think is the saying, yeah. 2 Premier League wins in the last 5, and one of them was one of the ugliest games I've seen in my life against Fulham. The other was a win against the bottom-ranked team in the league that I personally celebrated like we won the World Cup. Before that was a draw against Liverpool. Champions League final. These are the levels of desperation that we're working with at the moment. Tottenham Hotspur, they aren't too dissimilar from United. They're also in a very tough spot. Knocked out of both the EFL Cup and the FA Cup within the space of 3 days just last week, meaning their only shot at Ange winning in the second season is the Europa League. It's still a possibility if we see players return to fitness during crunch time. This team is good when they're at their best. Sadly, at the end of the day, when it comes to both of these clubs, both sets of owners are just 2 cheeks of the same ass. The season planning has been notoriously poor. Levy didn't realize that Postecoglou's fast-paced style was going to result in the need for a surplus in many positions, as many people predicted. The Glazers and Ineos are still feeling the effects of giving Ten Hag a new contract and then having to pay him millions to leave, and also hiring a sporting director, and then having to pay him millions to leave, and wondering where the problem is and, how this happened. Amorim could still walk away from this season without it being viewed as a complete failure. Still in 2 cup competitions, and I would say that a top half finish would probably be accepted by the fans at this point. It's like being 3-0 down against the 3rd division side and then finding your way up back to 3-3. You shouldn't have been there in the first place, but there is weirdly cause for subdued celebration. Amorim was set up to fail. I think a lot of people had realized that quite a while ago. He neither has the players nor the infrastructure to implement the vision that he sees for the club. A successful vision, a proven successful vision, by the way. I'm guessing the ownership only took that part into consideration and not much else. Anyway, with all that in mind, let's get into the match. Not a ton to talk about because there weren't that many big moments in this match at all. Plus, if we're being completely honest, it wasn't the best match to watch, not very entertaining, pretty dreadful. I saw a comment on Reddit that said that if you were watching this match as neither a Manchester United nor a Tottenham Hotspur fan, it's the perfect example of the worst use of free will. It's hard to argue that. For the biggest moment of the game, being the only goal, I blacked out and forgot what year it was. Thought we left the mannequin challenge back in 2016. How has this been allowed to happen here? A shot is taken from outside the box, Onana pushes it into the most dangerous area of the entire pitch, and the United defense watches on as James Maddison rushes in for an easy dinner. The first half was mostly Spurs as United were passive yet again. They took some control back in the second half, but for United, it just wasn't enough. Onana had a moment in the 90th minute where it looked like he thought he was playing dodgeball with Casemiro, but upon closer inspection, this was poor from both Dorgu and Onana. Dorgu asks for the ball, then isn't looking when Onana throws, and Onana throws it slightly ahead of him. But realistically, apart from that moment, and of course, pushing the ball back into James Maddison, I thought Onana had a decent game. Much better than a lot of the games that he's had, if we're all being real. Vicario was back for his first start since November, I think it was, and the man looks like he hasn't missed a step at all. That's very encouraging for Spurs fans. I feel like I have to mention Jed Spence here. The man continues to impress me. He had a shaky start to his Spurs career, but I've only seen him do well over the last few months. Matthijs Tal and Kevin Danza were brought in to help with this injury crisis, and honestly, in that capacity, I think they can do quite well and go a long way for them. Son tried to score direct from a corner twice. And listen, Son, you might be probably my favorite non-United player in the league, but you're pushing it. Cut that out. I want to go back to Ruben Amorim being set up to fail. You can see that since he's joined, he's given the team some good organization. In almost every game, there's an abundance of opportunities. The shape is decent. However, the players just keep letting him down. There is blood on Garnacho's hands, and it's not just this miss. It's almost like the concept of overlapping just doesn't exist to him. Dorgu was making plenty of runs on his outside, and he just decided not to play him in. Xerxes also missed a chance or two here, but funnily enough, I actually thought he had one of his best games in a United shirt so far, maybe even his best game. He linked the play up quite well, he just couldn't find that finishing touch, which is obviously, very encouraging for a United fan. But all in all, what's the point of getting into good positions that are conducive to scoring and then playing airball? And remember that this is slap bang in the middle of one of the worst periods for injuries for United over the entire season. Only about a quarter of the first team is available to play, plus there's been that whole media circus of Marcus Rashford leaving the club that's only really dying down round about now. Spurs were constantly giving United opportunities to get back into the game, but United, bless their souls, they didn't want to take them. The stats tell us that Man United is worse under Amorim than they were under Ten Hag. But in my eyes, with my eyes, I wouldn't say that Amorim is the problem. I'm not prepared to say that just yet. Terrible game. Raheem Sterling has only just turned 30, but is a non-factor. Can an Arsenal or a Chelsea fan please chime in the comments and tell me what's going on with Raheem Sterling? What's contributed to this decline? Is it simply match fitness? Is it something happening off the pitch? Is it maybe the fact that he has, been playing first team football 30 plus games per season since he was 17. It's actually insane how they have Saka, Martinelli, Jesus, and Havertz all out. I wasn't expecting striker Moreno to show up, but seems a lot of Arsenal fans were, and for good reason, I guess. And this guy is good in the air, isn't he? That first goal that he scored reminded me of that header he scored in the Euros. Was it the semi-final or the quarter-final against Germany? Perfect swivel of his body mid-air, and then the second goal to top it off. Great player. You can hate on Arsenal all you want, but they are second without an attack. Above them though, Liverpool probably have this whole thing wrapped up, don't they? And they should be preparing some robust bonuses for their medical team because they haven't really had any of their top guys out for sustained periods of the year. I think that's probably contributed to where they are right now. Everyone is dying, meanwhile Salah is still running down the wing. Not so impressive though is how they finished off their game against Wolves. I only really caught the second half, so the last 20 or so minutes of this game. And they didn't really seem like a team that had scored twice within 35 minutes. Lucky for them, I don't think they have much competition in the league. I spoke about Arsenal being close, but I struggle to think they'll catch up. Even if Liverpool were to lose 2 or 3 more games over the course of the season, I don't really see that happening though. Forest sit in third, but are 13 points off. In between their 7-0 demolition of Brighton were 2 losses, meaning they've only won 1 in their last 3. Chelsea were the season's wildcard, but their hype has pretty much died down now. Back-to-back losses against Brighton in different competitions. Remember when you took all of our players? Brighton remembers. Do yourself a favor and go ahead and watch Mitoma's touch on his first goal against Chelsea as many times as you can, from as many angles as you can. Genuinely, this is one of the greatest pieces of control the league has ever seen. He has a softer touch than the one that sent Mika Richards flying. City are 16 points off the top, which is a crazy thing to say. They just beat Newcastle 4-0 with Omar Marmoush getting his first goals. My man decided to make it a hat-trick too. We all know City have a great player on their hands, keen to see what he comes up with next, although I will say, it's all well and good that City can come up with good results here and there, but I feel like they're neglecting the fact that all the meme dealers need to eat too. It's really inconsiderate. More selfishness. Ancelotti, you know what to do. Get a grip on Bellingham though. Before we finish this up, I want to go back and briefly touch on that Liverpool match, the final moments where you can see the nerves were really getting to a lot of the fans in that stadium. Cunha asked Van Dijk to kindly show him his number and curled it in from distance at the 67th minute mark. It seems as though the players, the fans, everyone involved wasn't exactly convinced that they were going to see the game through. Perhaps some lingering sentiments from the Merseyside derby. Apart from that, when you're at the top, you sort of consistently have a target on your back, so I guess I understand it from that perspective. I remember during the lockdown season when Liverpool were like 15 points ahead and almost mathematically winners of the league already, but a lot of my Liverpool supporting friends were still very nervous. That's a sign of trauma, all right? You need to talk to a mental health professional. Don't worry guys, calm down, okay? You've got this. And no, I'm not trying to jinx you. Why would I do that? What possible reason would I have to do that? Oh, and speaking of Liverpool, and there we have it. Let me know what you guys thought about all the previous fixtures. That's all for me today. Hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you're having a great day. Cheers, and I'll catch you in the next one.